Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. just released a new video together for things they're going to be doing around Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars the next couple of years. I've seen a lot of questions about Spider-Man's role in Avengers Doomsday, how his relationship with Dr. Doom will be different than Tony Stark Iron Man in the MCU, why they're doing this now so early, how the Russo brothers are playing a lot on those big WTF moments, Easter eggs, and relationships from the previous Avengers movies, previous Marvel movies that they've been in together. Spider-Man himself probably involved in one of the biggest WTF moments that they're building towards in Avengers Doomsday. Secret Wars is a much bigger movie in terms of scope than Doomsday, so we'll get into that too, but a lot of this has changed because of the way the Russo brothers have changed the story for Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 since Marvel brought all of them back. Originally, Spider-Man's story was going to be very different during these next movies. You could just feel all of Marvel's really good lawyers protecting those Avengers Kang Dynasty scripts that are never going to get made now. We will break it all down. This is just the beginning. If you remember Captain America Civil War back in the day, Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, pretty much all the Deadpool movies use marketing like this where they release funny promos of the actors instead of traditional trailers because they didn't want to reveal any of the plot. In fact, there were specific Avengers Infinity War promos bent on that, like don't give away spoilers, no spoilers. You can thank the birth of the classic Spoiler Bros moments when Tom Holland back in the day accidentally really did spoil stuff. Nowadays, he does it on purpose and they use it for marketing, but back in the day, he actually did accidentally spoil stuff. There's going to be way more of this kind of stuff happening this year. Like it all started this year with Chair Watch. The Tom Holland Robert Downey Jr. promo is just the next step in that line. Speaking of which, we also have New York Comic-Con later this week. Marvel is bringing a couple big trailers. There'll be a couple big panels. Of course, I will do all the videos for it, so be sure to subscribe to be the first to watch those. If you saw this Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr. trailer and you were confused why they'd be randomly doing something like this, part of the way their contracts with Disney and Marvel for the MCU movies work allow them to use the hype of the movies while they're working on it, making those to help any personal business interests that they have on the side separate from the movies and the TV shows. For example, Robert Downey Jr. has made hundreds of millions of dollars on his Marvel contracts over the years, not including his new contract for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, which is like a combined $80 million. His base salary for the previous Marvel movies, like before Endgame, was over $305 million, which does not include the extra large chunk of profits that he gets on his contracts that give him points, the percentage points on net profit.
I'd like to thank my terrible childhood.
So by the time we get through Secret Wars, he'll be close to $500 million earned from the Marvel movies if you include all the percentage points that he's gotten. Hollywood accounting is a very real practice where the studios will always make it seem like they never turn profit, even though that's not true, so they don't have to pay percentage points, but it is an actual thing. Tom Holland didn't really start getting paid bank until Spider-Man No Way Home in his brand new contract for the new Spider-Man trilogy in the new Avengers movies. Now he's getting paid a lot more, not Robert Downey Jr. levels of money, but a lot more than he was before. Pretty much every single one of the bigger Marvel actors at this point who's been around for a while, these two included, have used some of that giant pile of money they earned to start their own creator-owned businesses. That's what happens when you're an actor or you're a creator and you earn a ton of money. You typically funnel that into other businesses. There are a lot of examples of even smaller YouTubers doing stuff like this, like creating their own merch, or they'll sign with another company to make merch for them. I get a lot of companies actually asking me to do stuff like this too, which usually I'm not really interested in. This is basically what Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland are doing here. They have their own businesses that they started separately and are now using all the Doomsday hype with the Spider-Man and Dr. Doom energy to drive more in sales so their businesses earn more money, with the eventual goal that they'll sell their businesses for profit to larger corporations. The reason why you're noticing it now is because it's a Marvel movie kind of thing, like it's Marvel actors using their Marvel hype for an upcoming Avengers movie to actually push a lot of this. But probably one of the biggest changes to Avengers 5 since they turned it into Doomsday, brought the Russos back, completely rewrote the scripts, and now doing Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom in a version of Time Runs Out, is the whole relationship between Spider-Man and the new incoming Dr. Doom. We've already seen him in the Fantastic Four post-credits scene. Most of what Matt Shakman, the director of that movie, and the Russos have said is that his Dr. Doom does come from the Fantastic Four's 828 universe, and that's why we're seeing him here. If you look, you can kind of see the design of his Dr. Doom costume. It looks very 1960s inspired, like everything else in that universe, because it is 1960s in the present day of that universe. We already went into the movie knowing that Robert Downey Jr. was playing his character, and Marvel separately confirmed that that was Robert Downey Jr. in that post-credit scene, but obviously Marvel and Disney want to have him in Avengers Doomsday without the mask on, unlike comic book Doctor Doom, who's usually under the mask, so that casual audiences can see Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie, and they'll come see it because they like Robert Downey Jr. One of the ways it seems like Marvel is justifying that on a narrative level is having Franklin Richards heal his scarred face so that he looks more like Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Tony Stark from the MCU movies previously, leading to probably one of the biggest WTF turns of Avengers Doomsday that they've been promising, that they've been hyping up, the idea that all the MCU heroes that were on the Avengers, and Spider-Man in particular, because of his closer relationship with Iron Man, will see Doctor Doom's face and think that it is their returned friend, Tony Stark, who they just watched die a little while ago.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
Just imagine how they'll play this moment up when Spider-Man sees him, how much he has been hurting, what's going on in his life during the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day, how he's basically just going through it, trying to survive one day at a time, being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I've already done a bunch of videos about all the footage we've gotten from that movie. What Kevin Feige and Sony separately have said about the events of that movie is that by the time we get to that, Spider-Man will have basically suppressed all of the personal side of his life and tried to be Spider-Man all the time, 24/7. And it begins to take a heavy toll on him because he doesn't have his friends around him anymore. He's been isolated and he's just been stuck in this life all the time since the events of the last movie. This is also why they're using the Punisher character as such a big person during the movie, because the Punisher's whole thing is killing his villains. He has no problem killing people. So part of the idea is that he'll also try to drive Spider-Man darker inadvertently. Not that he wants an evil version of Spider-Man or a super dark version of Spider-Man, but you can see the argument between them where Spider-Man doesn't believe in killing people and the Punisher definitely believes in killing people, with a lot of the symbiote arc baking in the background. The whole idea is that the symbiote arc, in pretty much every version of it, it's Spider-Man being driven darker by the symbiote. So you can see that they're slowly pushing Spider-Man in a much darker direction. Because of the way they rescheduled the Marvel movies and delayed Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, now Doomsday is the next movie that comes out after Spider-Man Brand New Day, so there'll probably be some kind of Doomsday post-credit scene in Spider-Man Brand New Day, so they don't have to explain why Robert Downey Jr. has been running around trying to destroy the MCU during the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day. They can do Spider-Man Brand New Day, do their ground-level friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie with a little bit of multiverse stuff in the post-credit scene. Now we get to Doctor Strange's spell and the effects on the rest of the Avengers characters. So here's the thing with his spell. All the Avengers remember that Spider-Man is a character and that they fought with Spider-Man in the final battle of Avengers Endgame. They just don't remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. All the moments with Peter Parker, they just forget. They only remember the moments where he's under the mask. The only exception to this is Bruce Banner's Hulk. The Hulk is immune to this kind of magic in the comics, so Bruce Banner does not remember Peter Parker, but the Hulk does remember Peter Parker.
Hulk, always Hulk.
We will probably get into this during the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day. The Hulk obviously going to be a big character during that. Don't know how much Hulk we're going to see in the movie, but he's also supposed to be put back into Savage Hulk mode by something in the movie. So it will also explain why they can bring up the fact that he remembers that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because he will be Savage Hulk again. There's supposed to be more Avengers crossover during the movie. I think Yelena Belova has a small role, maybe like a cameo scene. I think the idea is they want to tease Spider-Man eventually getting back together with an Avengers team at some point by the events of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. During the events of Doomsday, he's with one of the Avengers teams that puts him in the path of Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom so that he can actually see he is Tony Stark underneath the mask when he rips the mask off. Here's the thing though, a lot of people asking what happens to Spider-Man at the end of the movie, because we know that obviously Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom has to win and become God Emperor Doom, pushing things into Secret Wars. They're going to end on an Infinity War snap downer type of moment where the multiverse finishes collapsing and they form Battleworld, or everybody winds up on a version of Battleworld, which they'll probably use the Void for. There are a lot of jokes about this during Deadpool and Wolverine, but the Void, just in general, already functions a lot like Battleworld in the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars comic book, so it just makes sense that they would use the Void for it. But remember, they killed Spider-Man at the end of Infinity War, and there was the big cliffhanger with him returning during the final battle in Endgame. I don't think the Russos want to repeat that same moment over again. So I think that Spider-Man probably does survive the end of Avengers Doomsday into Secret Wars. Body count is going to be pretty high though, just in general. Like most people that are in Doomsday are probably going to die. Only a couple of those characters will survive to Avengers Secret Wars. This is also why they didn't announce 5 billion characters during that chair watch, because they're splitting up a lot of the people they're bringing back between both Avengers movies. Some people they're just waiting till Secret Wars to bring back. This is also probably why we're not going to see a ton of Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in Avengers Doomsday. I'm just not expecting a ton of them until Avengers Secret Wars. That's when you bring them back, because it's a much, much bigger multiverse movie than Avengers Doomsday is. This will also help pay off that moment that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man had during Spider-Man No Way Home, where he said, "We should do this again sometime. I'll get your number after the battle." Then boom, they take off at the end of that movie because of Doctor Strange's second spell. You get to Avengers Secret Wars, and they do it again.
I guess I'll see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
But everyone post all your reactions in the comments below, or if you have any questions about Spider-Man, Iron Man, Doctor Doom, the upcoming Avengers movies, or just New York Comic-Con stuff in general, just write them below in the comments. Speaking of really good lawyers, we have New York Comic-Con this weekend. There's supposed to be a Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer, but that might have been delayed till later. I think there'll be a couple other Marvel trailers though. Whatever they do wind up releasing, of course I will do videos for it. The Russo brothers just posted another cryptic teaser. Click here for that, and click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.